After 24 years of producing music for a living and working with some of today's biggest artists, such as Gwen Stefani, Sia, Justin Timberlake, Kygo, and getting on Grammy winning projects, I have learned tons of lessons and lots of mistakes made. And so, if I was speaking to my younger self 24 years ago, or anyone who's just starting out producing music, here are the 7 principles I wish I knew before I started. So the first lesson is people over promotions. Now, I started off making music just because I loved making it. I had a passion for it. I'm sure you can relate to that as well. Beavering away in my little home bedroom studio. And that then led to wanting to be more serious about making music and starting connecting with others who had the similar interests. But I wasn't around the time of YouTube or MySpace wasn't even available. So anybody that I had a chance to connect with, I was very eager to view them as a means to get to where I wanted to go. And it was very transactional. I wasn't mean hearted or rude to people, but I really just saw, hey, if you didn't bring anything for me or you didn't bring anything to the table that would help me get to where I want to go, I didn't really want to invest in that relationship. And so the lesson learned and what I realized throughout the years of doing this is how important it is to nurture relationships. I would say that's 90% of the battle in navigating through today's music industry is if you can nurture relationships, invest in others, see how you can not just be transactional, but see opportunities to bring value to others and treat people as people, you'd be surprised of how someone that you're just connecting with right now could later on be a record executive and remind themselves of that established relationship you have with them, which is the story for me. People that I used to meet at studios who were just studio runners and getting the coffee and the tea for people during the sessions ended up becoming record executives who are now in a position to say, hey, you want to work on this next Nicki Minaj album? So that's where I'm getting at. So here's the lesson takeaway: value relationships over opportunity. The music industry is built on people, not posts or placements. Be the kind of person others want to grow with. Now, this next lesson is what led me to getting my very first placement. As a matter of fact, it's that record you can see on the wall right there, Genuine, Back to Basics album. And the lesson is over deliver, under promise. I can remember when I got my very first big shot to produce a remix for mixing legend Jimmy Douglas. He gave me an opportunity. He was working on a mix and said, hey, could you do a remix of this in a electronic style genre? And that's what I was doing at the time. But I was afraid and I was terrified I wouldn't be able to live up to the hype and deliver a good product. So I did the best I could. And I could have easily just delivered the one remix and called it a day. But I decided if this is the one shot I have, I want the most possible leverage that I can possibly have. So I finished the remix, but then I also created 2 extra versions in 2 different styles. I also then created CDs because CDs were the bomb back then. Um, I created CDs with some samples and loops that I created originally, royalty free, that he can use on any of his mixes or any things that he wanted to produce and work on. I just went above and beyond and gave him that. So the bundle of the 3 remixes, the CDs, and all that stuff, it really got him to pay attention and notice, hey, I have another gig, another remix. Do you want to take a crack at that? And yeah, and that led to another remix, which then led me to uh, remixing some of the stuff that Timberland was working on, which ultimately led me to producing and getting the placement I talked about earlier on the Genuine record. So the big takeaway here for this lesson is do more than what's expected. It builds trust, shows professionalism, and sets you apart in a crowded field. Lesson 3, you don't grow alone. Now, for a long time starting out, I was making music in isolation, storing up my hard drive with unfinished ideas or even finished songs that just no one would hear. And it kind of made me feel invisible. And it wasn't until I decided to just start DJing and use that as a means to locally display and share the music that I was creating. That gave me an immediate feedback loop, not just with people, liking the music I was making, but an immediate reaction to say, oh, okay, this can be tweaked, this can be fixed, because the intention of me making this was that I would impact those who would hear it. So I had an outlet and a group of people that I trusted to give me the feedback and the critical steps I needed to actually finish and get my music sounding the way I wanted them to. So not doing it alone was a big game changer for me. So the big lesson and takeaway here is you don't grow alone. You want to share your music, even if it's not perfect, whether it's a local gig or Discord server, Dropbox, or community. Getting your work out there is what sharpens your skills and grows your confidence. Now, this next lesson really aims towards a season of life that I was in where I was around studio environments a lot. And so, if you're considering to look for internships and work in a studio environment, this would definitely be a golden rule for you. But also, the principle can be applied all across the board. And that is do don't wait. In that season of life where I was in studio environments, I remember just sitting back because out of respect, I just was wanting to wait till I was told to do something and not tamper with anything, and then I would go and get the tasks accomplished. But what I noticed is, when I would start to see that the cables were messy and I do things without having people tell me to do them, or if I saw that the coffee was low, I'd go out and do it. Or if I saw that something needed to be done, I wanted to get the job done before anybody asked me to do it. And what ended up happening was that just put me in a spot of just irreplaceability. People don't want to babysit people and always have to look over them and micromanage them all the time, especially in this environment. So, do and don't wait. This puts the mindset in you believing, okay, how can I be the hero of the day? How do I bring value? Or how do I actually do the job that needs to be done without being told so that I become a bit of, I become missed when I'm not there. That's kind of the idea behind this. So the takeaway for this one is don't wait for permission. Take initiative, make yourself useful, and you'll become indispensable. So far, a lot of these lessons have been very mindset driven. And it's because those are the things that are obviously overlooked. And as I mentioned, looking back now, these are the things I would really spotlight and focus in on as they're going to give you much more leverage in moving forward with your music career. Now, this next lesson is focus more towards the music production side of things. And I would call this obsess less, create more. And the whole notion is this happened one day. I was in a recording session with Kelly Rowland, one of the singers from Destiny's Child, and she's phenomenally talented. But being nervous in that session, I decided I was like, this has to be perfect. This beat that I'm working on. And so I remember cycling through all these different snare drums and just trying to find the right snare for this beat. When Kelly's manager, she's a sweetheart. She didn't say anything, but she exit the room, and Kelly's manager at the time pulled me aside and said, "Listen, man, um, we ain't paying the studio time for us to hear all the snare drums you have on your hard drive." That hit me hard. And once I had that conversation, I realized I need to stop obsessing over that stuff and focus on the song. And so that really opened my eyes to saying, okay, what production decisions can I make that will serve the song? Because if I've got the song and main focus, then all the other things, the snare drum, who cares about that? Just get the sound and move on. So obsess less, create more. You'd be surprised of how much you will be satisfied with arriving across the finish line with the right song than with the right snare drum. This next lesson is don't take it personal. Your self worth and your identity, when it's rooted behind the performance and the validation you get from your music, will drive you crazy. And you'll easily take any criticism towards your art personally, causing you to even second guess why you should be making music in the first place. And I think this is, for me personally, one that I struggled with the most. When I would submit songs to be placed on opportunities or for sync campaigns or playing them in record executive meetings, it was so easy for me to take it personal. As if when they said, "No, the song doesn't work. No, we don't want this song. We don't like it." I was like, "Dang, are they not liking me? Am I not good enough? What's going on?" And I used to get so hung up on that. My identity was literally tethered and anchored to the criticism and the validation I get from others on my music. When then one day, my mentor at the time, Jimmy Douglas, would say, "Dude, it ain't that deep. They either like it or they don't. Don't take it personal." And when he said that, it literally just set me free. I was like, "Yeah, don't take it personal." And I just got right back to this idea of like, what would it look like if I just made music I loved making? It will then naturally and organically become magnetic and attract those they're going to gravitate towards it anyways. And those were always the best songs that got placed, that got the sync license, that got any opportunity. It was when I doubled down and made the music I loved making. So don't let rejection define your worth. Make music you love, and the right people will find it. And the last lesson here is being intentional with finishing projects, not just starting them. I would have a hard drive filled with 8-bar loops and ideas and never really committing to finishing them. And if I were to be honest, deep down inside, I was just scared to commit. I was lacking a lot of the confidence to finish the projects. All that changed when I noticed something about myself that when given a deadline, I was actually able to get things done. And that might be like you, or maybe you're wired differently. But for me, it was realizing if I can commit to actually finishing a song a week or a track a week, if I had a specific deadline, a project that was due, that's usually what got me going. And I realized when I have that deadline, I'm actually not just making a beat, I'm actually structuring out the arrangement, getting everything flowing top to bottom. And I needed that repetition. I needed that to be consistent so that I was finishing songs consistently, which led to more confidence, more growth, and ultimately placement opportunities and pursuing a actual career and doing this full time for a living. So here's the takeaway. You don't get better by starting 100 projects. You grow by finishing them. That's where the clarity, momentum, and breakthroughs come from. Now, I know I didn't do a deep dive in any of these lessons on the technical aspects of music production. Like, how do you get your mixes to translate on many different platforms, or what's a workflow for sound selection? All those things I'm going to dive into in much richer context in other videos. And some of them I've already covered in a lot of videos in this channel. So be sure to watch that. These are principles and lessons that really affect more of the mindset overall. And if I knew these things and I gravitated towards them growing up, I would have probably had a lot more impact with my career. So I hope this encourages you and inspires you. And I hope any one of these lessons would be a means for you to be encouraged to take that next step forward with your music. Now, if you're tired of doing this all alone, you still feel like, man, these are helpful lessons, but I would still need some professional guidance in helping me finish my music. If I can have a step by step blueprint, if I had a community, if I wasn't doing this all alone, it would be a game changer for me. Well, if you're thinking that, if that's you, I want to introduce you to Beat Academy Collective. It's a platform that I'm putting together that'll create exactly that. You get the professional guidance, you get the community, you get the step-by-step blueprint of exactly how you hit the ground running, producing the music with confidence that you can be proud of. And so if you want more details about that, click the link below in the description box or visit beatacademy.com/collective. And if you want to work directly with me in a more intimate setting, I offer a mentorship program as well, but that's reserved for a limited amount of people. So you would need to apply to see if you qualify for that experience. Until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.